Hello, guys. So today we have Lauren on the podcast with us. Delighted to have you here, Lauren.
Hi, Claire. Hi, everybody.
And you were just on retreat with us a matter of weeks ago. So buzzing for you to share your story with us. But let's start by telling everybody, why was it you came to us in the first place?
Oh, Claire, I was just a broken woman. Just felt quite defeated by life. Like I was just struggling. Um, I had anxiety, but I knew I had it and I was suffering panic attacks and things, but I didn't realise how bad I had it, if that makes sense. Um, and I just think I wanted a sort of a form of escapism. I wanted to run away. And I'm a terrible one for being quite impulsive and doing things. And had been thinking about ayahuasca for a long time. And then had came across you guys, and decided, right, this is for me. This is what I'm going to do. When I done it, I was like, book it quick, because I would start going like, oh, don't, and start like being worried about what the decision I'd made. But I just knew I had to do something to change my life. But I didn't know what that was. But I knew ayahuasca was the answer.
Yeah. Because you were chapping at the
Oh,
bit to go on retreat with us. And
aye.
at first I was like, we were having to look into your situation a bit because
Yep.
typically, as a rule, if it's people that have got most heart issues, they can't work with us in the first place. But you were born with a very, very mild condition, weren't you, called long QT, which means that
Hmm.
your heart is sometimes skipping a wee beat here and
Yeah.
there. But
Yes.
luckily you were able to come on the retreat because it wasn't like a very, very serious
Yeah.
condition that you
Yeah.
had. So, how was the retreat, Lauren?
Oh, I'll be honest. When I first went on the first retreat, the first night, sorry, the first ceremony, I remember just feeling obviously really anxious. It's the fear of the unknown. You don't know what you're getting into. And I was just like, what am I doing here? And and I didn't realise, but I'm quite a pessimistic person, and the cynicism was written out. The first night I was just like looking around, and we were in this big, beautiful house, but there's like beds at either side, and I'm looking around everybody thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing here? And just that voice in my head that it's been there for like my whole adult life, just saying, what is it you're doing? And really negative. So the first night was quite dark for me, I found. Quite a lot of, like, I could see people's faces changing, which was obviously freaking me out. I was like, whoa, what's happening here? And I kept seeing quite a lot of shadows and stuff, and I was getting a lot of whispering in my ear, and I kept thinking a woman next to me was whispering to me, and I'm like, what is it you're saying? And it wasn't even her that was talking to me. So that was getting that auditory stuff I really struggled with. I just found it quite dark. It was just not what I was expecting either. Because I came thinking I was going to get shot to the stars and get operated on by aliens, and just had all these expectations, and I never get any of that. But like you always kept telling me, she gives you what you need. So the first night was just, like I say, I kept feeling this kind of a sense of being a bit scared. It took me ages to purge, and I just kept going over and over in my head, like, what are you doing here? Then when the music came on, I did seem to calm down, and I really connected with the music throughout all of the ceremonies and throughout all of the retreat, actually, because there's a lot of music played and it's just beautiful. Um, I then was the only way I can describe it is I was then like in a flume, like that you've been like if you were at the swimming, like a flume like that, but a dark one, but that had lights in it. And I remember like the music playing, and I was like, oh, this is a great song. And my right side of my body was like going up this flume, but I wasn't scared. I didn't feel uncomfortable. I knew that's where I wanted to go, but my left side wouldn't move. And because I've got the heart condition, I'm going, oh, that's it. You've took a stroke or something. There's nothing wrong with me, but obviously in my head's doing overtime. Um, I remember like thinking, why is my left side not moving? And it was really, really playing in my mind. And I don't know if my left side wasn't moving because of my heart condition. The thought of that was maybe holding me back a bit. But however, I looked round and I remember seeing loads of like really dark demons going, like, stay with us, come with us. And I was like, oh, go away. I actually said, fuck off. Because I was like, I don't want to be with you. I want to go up. That feels like a pity party up there. I want to be up there. And then I came round and nothing else happened after that. Again, more of the sort of adult stuff crept in. And you encouraged me to take another cup. And I was a bit like, I don't know if I want to. But I did. But I didn't feel, because I took so long to purge and stuff in the first night, I felt as if it just kind of lingered on me, and nothing else really happened. But it was just, I was getting a really weird sensation of, it was as if she was breathing for me, and that's the only way I could describe it, because I didn't know who it was, because it didn't feel like me breathing. And I kept saying to be gentle with me, and I couldn't even tell you what my intention was for the first night, because I genuinely do not remember that at all. I think I just went in there like a whirlwind. But she was doing this breathing, it was as if she was lifting my head and exhaling this negative stuff. And I felt quite calm after her doing it. I was like, that's actually really nice. And then another side of me was going like, what if something's wrong with you? And do you know what I mean? It was just, this is what the whole first night was like. It was like total conflicted. I felt really strange within myself. Um, but then, so I got up the next day and I went, and I was a bit shaky and stuff like that, and I didn't feel great. So by the time I was going into the second ceremony, I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. No way, not a chance. And I remember saying to you, like, I don't know how I'm feeling and stuff. And I just found out my mum hadn't been too well. So you were like, look, we'll see how you got on the first night, but definitely do the second ceremony. And I'd also been to a few of the meetups, and everybody was saying definitely do the 3 ceremonies because you'll regret it if you don't. So that was playing in the back of my mind. So I thought, right, okay, in for a penny, in for a pound, let's do this. So I went to the second ceremony, and I'd said to Taita, just a small cup, I've got a heart condition. Obviously, a bit reluctant in case I was going to go into this dark kind of a place again. And like I say, it wasn't dark that anything was really bad. It was just dark that it made me feel uncomfortable. So Taita says, come here. Well, obviously Spanish, so you had to translate for me, but he's took my pulse and he felt my heart. And I was just sitting there and I just felt this overwhelming sense of like, just pure calm. And you'd said to me, you were translating obviously, and you'd said, Taita says you've got a strong heart. You're okay. And I was like, right, okay. I took my second cup, went back to my bed. And as you know, I had the night of my life. It was just absolutely like brilliant. Oh, it was just, I wish I was back there every day, honestly, okay, honestly. But the second night was so very different for the first. I purged really quite quickly. And the minute I started purging, I could see all this like, black smoke coming out. And after the first ceremony, I had like, a sort of a tightness in my chest. And I remember you going, what do you mean? And I was like, no, it's not like I'm getting tight. It's like that was the way I was describing it, but it's something I had to shift, and I knew that. So I could see this this sick, all the black smoke, and it was like oil and water. My sick wouldn't, like I could see black and yellow and it wouldn't merge together. So I was like, whoa, what's going on here? The next thing, the music's playing, and I was just like, woo. But I remember at one point saying, that's my jam. Now, I've heard these songs twice in my life, and I was just like, but it was my greatest hits. They were the DJs and they were playing for me. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, this is just brilliant. I was just swinging it, dancing in my, well, no, or dancing, just in my bed, like just couldn't stop moving. And I could see like a snake coming out my head, and it was as if Pablo was playing the guitar at this point, and I thought, he's a snake charmer, he's just charming me, and I just couldn't, I could stop myself from moving, but when I did, it didn't feel as good as what it did when I was moving. So I was just going for it. I was just like, this is amazing, I love it. And just had the best night. Then as the tumours started coming in, I started to experience quite a lot of people who've passed over that have been close to me. So the first 3 people that came were, I think it was the last 3 funerals I'd been to. So they came to me, they'd passed on messages for loved ones, which was really a privilege to be able to pass them on to people. I also got 3, my friends that have passed away, and they were obviously quite young when they passed. And I was sobbing my heart out when I seen them. But I didn't realise I must have been holding on to some sort of a guilt. And I remember thinking, you've never had a life and I did, and it's really unfair. But they were like, it's not your fault. You can't control this. So that made me feel a bit of like, I was sobbing, but then I just went, oh, and it just stopped, as if like, you've got this. And I remember having conversations with Mother Ayahuasca. But at this point, she's come in and she's like me, but a tougher, sassier, more confident version of me, like kick your ass version. And she was like, listen, you stop being your own worst critic. You're giving yourself such a hard time for things you can't control. That wasn't your fault. And I was like, right, okay. And I was listening to her. And then she said to me, I kept saying, I'm going to heal my heart. And I remember it being, that was one of my, that was my intention for the second night. It was just like, treat me kindly and heal my heart. And she kept saying to me, you asked me that last night. I can't do years of trauma and years of heartache and years of this all in one night. Give me peace. And I was like, right, okay. But then I seen her physically sew my heart back together as if it'd been broken. And I was like, and I just felt this overwhelming sense of gratitude like I've never felt before. And they were showing me like my kids and my nieces and like my family and stuff and my boys, they were showing me them and I was like, they're my light. And she was going, there's your light, you're right, that's your light. And it was just, I've never felt that gratitude before. I felt feeling really grateful and full of love, but this was like a different scale. And it was as if it took me back to like the happiest times of my life and was just like, you don't need to be feeling so down all the time and giving yourself a hard time. Um, it was just, you came to my bed at one point and I was like, oh, and I get a fright and you were like, no, it's fine. Are you okay? Do you want another cup? And I was like, I don't need another cup. I'm having the total night of my life. And you were like, I know, because you just kept seeing me dancing every 2 minutes. But then they came to me, they showed me my youngest, my middle niece, sorry, and she's 27. And they said to me, they were showing me her and I was like, oh, wee Chloe, I've got such a bond with her, such a connection. And they said, she's got a Labubu doll. And I was like, what? And I thought that was like kind of a wee kid's thing. And they were like, she's got a Labubu doll. You have to tell her it's a dark entity. And I was like, aye, right. So I kept kind of batting this message away and not really taking it serious. And it kept coming back to the point it went into a loop. And I was like, right, I need to take this serious because I knew if it was into a loop, you're either struggling or you're no listening to what she's telling you. And it was just saying to me, it's got a dark entity attached to it. It's demonic. It's given her bad mental health. It's really dark. She has to get rid of it. So I spoke to her about it when I came home and said, have you got a Labubu doll? And she's like, nah. And I was like, all right, this is what they told me about it. And she went away on her shelf and she got this wee plastic thing. Now, these Labubu dolls are like wee furry keyring things, but that's plastic one. And she went, that's supposedly a Labubu doll. And I turned it underneath and it said Labubu underneath. And I was like, you need to get rid of that. And she's like, but that's not one of the ones that you're talking about. And I was like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I was given a message to give to you. You have to bin that. You're not allowed to give it to anybody else. It has to be you. And then apparently, which I never knew at the time, there's a load of stuff on TikTok, which I don't really know how to work TikTok great. But it's just saying that apparently these things are demonic and stuff like that. And there is dark entities attached to them. So, and I'd never seen that before. So I thought that was just really strange. And um, it was just like it was another message, but it was for somebody that was living, which I thought was quite important.
And that's the
Um,
thing where a lot of stuff that's put out there by the global elites, whether it be certain types of toy type things, whether it be music, whether it be in the food stuff, whatever it is, there's dark energy put out there to the masses through
yeah,
these things. So very interesting that you got that message through.
yeah, and I do think my niece had to hear that as well. She was like, I think that when that came into my life, I was getting quite dark energy and stuff, and so it was interesting. I also seen loads of like the people that were sitting next to me, I seen them as their younger selves as well. Because I remember looking over and seeing one of the girls who was next to me, who was in her 40s and she was like 16. And I was like, whoa, this is weird. And another lady that was sitting next to me, she was 65. And I'd seen her and she looked about 30. So I could see people's faces changing. So I was obviously getting a lot of the spiritual element of it, which I was not expecting. Like I say, I kept thinking I was going to the stars and aliens and all that kind of a stuff. I never got that. But what I was getting was all the stuff that I needed done inside, which I thought I'd worked on because I'd been in counselling for I've been in and out of counselling for years, just for different things, but I'd been in counselling for about a year, just prior to coming to the medicine, and found that it was helping, but I needed something else. And I think that's obviously what I got from ayahuasca because it's completely just changed my life. My third night, I didn't really go under on the third night, but stuff was going on and I just didn't feel as if it was right anyway. So I was quite glad that I didn't, in a way. But I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, Claire, but I've just came home and I feel so different. Like, it's just been very strange for me. Aye.
And you're like you're saying, like your integration, it's been absolutely life changing and everything for you. You're reaping the benefits, but something very, very tragic happened to you because in the last day of the retreat, you got the information through for home that your mum had taken a heart attack and was in
Yeah.
hospital, and then your mum passed, was it 2 days after
Yeah, that's
that?
right.
Yep,
Yeah,
2
2
days
days
after
after.
that. So as well as you going straight from retreat and from this
Mhm.
big experience, straight off the back, you're into one of the biggest traumas that
Yeah.
you can get through in your life. So how was that for you to navigate both things at one time? Like to go through the trauma and the grief of losing your mum, but also at the same time feeling all these beautiful kind of shifts and transformations within you.
Yeah, it's the when I get that information through, my sister had told me that my mum had actually passed away, but they brought her back to life with CPR. And during that time, I was in ceremony, and I could smell a really strong stale smoke smell. And I was like, "What is that?" And my mum was a really heavy smoker, and I was going round just only getting whiffs of it, but then it would just go away again. And I just remember thinking, when I told my sister about it, she was like, "Do you know my mum had passed away at that time?" And she was like, "But she was brought back to life." So that was like huge for me. But I felt that I sounds, I was just overly, an oversense, an overwhelming sense of calm I had. I was so calm. I was upset, as you've seen, and stuff like that. But after that, I was just like, I can deal with this. You're okay. And it was like something inside me was like, you've got inner strength coming from somewhere, but you're okay. And I was okay when I was in like airport with a couple hours, and I was like walking through, and I was like, I'm okay. I can deal with this. I drove home. When we got home, sorry, I drove up the road and I went straight to the hospital, and I couldn't get in. And I was like, do you know what? Just go home and get a rest. You've been on the go, get up first thing in the morning. And that's what I done. And I've been upset, I've been crying, but I've just got this inner strength I can't describe. My sister keeps saying it to me as well. She's like, I can't believe how well you've been. Like, usually any other time I would like shake, physically shake. My whole body would start shaking. I would be feeling sick, stuff like that. I wasn't getting any of that. And the only thing that's changed was going to ayahuasca. I genuinely believe I was supposed to go in the middle of November, and I seen the 30th of November, 30th of October one, and I says, I want to go in that one. And I genuinely believe I was meant to be there at that time to
Yeah.
get that strength to deal with what I've had to deal with through my mum passing.
Absolutely. And it's one of the key things, that we all notice once we start doing this type of work is the strength and resilience that it gives us, because things happening, like bad things happen, people pass away, people can lose jobs, people can, suffer whatever. The difficult times are going to be there in life, like they are inevitable in
Mhm.
a way, but it's more with the peace and the grace and the strength and resilience that you can navigate through them because of the
Mhm.
work that you've done, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I just, like I say, I would just have been a nervous wreck before, wouldn't have been able to, I could do bits of coping, but it would only be small bits. I feel as if the medicine's just giving me something inside. It's like, you're okay. You can deal with what life's thrown at you just now. And you can deal with quite a lot. And it was more about like, I've come back feeling more confident, more settled in life. I was always, always worried about what's going to happen in the future. Do you know what I mean? I might not even have a future. Who knows what's going to happen to us? But that was my go-to, worrying about what's coming up next and worrying about this. And like I said to you before, I lived with anxiety, and I think my counsellor and I had kind of pinpointed a sort of a pivotal moment in my childhood when we think that it started. And I must have lived with that for all these years, and
Yeah.
now I don't have it. And I swear I was like, I'm walking in clouds going, I don't function the way I usually function. Usually I speak really fast and sometimes mumble and kind of a shout to get words in and stuff. My tone's changed, how I'm conducting myself just feels different. And I just don't have that anxiety. And like I said, I just thought it was normal to live like that because I've not lived with it for all these years. And now I don't have it. I'm like, wow, this is what it feels like to live without it and live a kind of a normal life. It feels so strange. It's amazing.
It's absolutely phenomenal, that, isn't it? And I was like you, suffered for chronic anxiety for
Yep.
decades, and it
Hmm.
becomes just so normal.
Yeah.
It's just there all day, every day, and to be liberated and be free from that is just
No, that's what I kept using
phenomenal.
the word freedom. So I did. I kept saying, I just feel a sense of freedom. Like I'm free for the anxiety. I'm free for the worry. Um, like I don't. I was always worrying about something, and if I didn't have something to worry about, I'd worry about that. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean? So, like,
yeah.
how am I not worrying about something? It was just the way I was. Terrible overthinker, my own worst critic. And I had this negative voice in my ear for years, just like, you're rubbish, you're crap. Like, why you try to do that? Who do you think you are? Do you know what I mean? All that stuff all the time. And that's completely mute now, thankfully. But it's a nicer voice. It's just like, give yourself a break. You're okay. That's okay to do that. Or do you know what I mean? It's amazing. I can't believe the change. And I didn't see it right after, because obviously I went right into all this dealing with mum passing and stuff like that. But as the weeks are going on, I'm seeing a change in me. I'm seeing how I'm dealing even with my kids differently. Felt as if I was moaning at them sometimes for things. And I'm like, not that I'm not moaning at them, because that's just what mums do, but I was just like, do you know what I mean? It's different. It's just, I feel so different. It's just amazing. And I kept hearing people in the podcast, because I watched every podcast, and it's probably something I would say to people maybe not to do, because I went into every podcast, everything I could find, and started looking at all these experiences. So I had a really high expectation of what I was going to get. I came out with more than what I wanted, but it wasn't what I thought I was going to get. I get deep healing, do you know what I mean? That self-love, just confident, just a bit of self-esteem again, because I've not felt like that for years. And I feel as if I could take on the world. It's amazing.
Just phenomenal. What a transformation. And like you say there, with the expectations, everybody goes in there with them. And a lot of people can get really fixated onto going to the different realms
Yes.
and having all the visions, etc. But for me personally, do you know what I know is it's these profound healings that get done on the traumas, that get done
Mm-hmm.
on the emotions. Those
Yeah.
are just
Yeah.
absolutely life changing. And that is the point of the work. The point of the
Mm-hmm.
work isn't to go off and like meet the aliens and all this wild stuff,
Yeah.
places that we do go to. But the point is to heal us so as that we can be happier, more peaceful, more stable,
Yeah.
easier more ready for life. That's
Mm-hmm.
what you want to see.
Yeah, I'd read every self-help book, joined clubs, done well-being stuff. So I was on the right path, but I just hadn't found I had found ayahuasca. It just took me a while to get there, and I genuinely thought I couldn't do it because of my heart condition. But then I had that other voice that was just like, so if I was like maybe had taken a drink or whatever, it would be like, why are you doing that? That means you're an alcoholic. And that just gave myself such a hard time. So now I'm looking at it going, do you know what? Like, I needed that deep healing. I needed all the stuff, the internal stuff, to make myself realise that you're not a bad person and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It was just, this went on for obviously years and years, and hearing that voice in your ear for years, you start to believe a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I just don't have that anymore. So it's probably going to take me a bit longer to get fully to where I'm meant to be. But right now, I like the path I'm on. It feels good and it feels better. But I just, like I say, you can't describe this. Like, that this feeling that you get, it's like indescribable. Even during the ceremony, what I was getting was indescribable. I'm trying to describe it, and I wrote notes down, and I'm looking at them and going, that doesn't even make sense, or it doesn't come across the way you need to. You need to do it to understand it. And I think that's the only thing I can say is, like, I could sit here and talk all day long about how amazing it is. And I've spoke to other people who have done it, and they've done the same for me and told me how amazing it is. But I never realised until I actually went on retreat.
Yeah, you definitely need to experience it
It's,
to believe it, to get the results. It's the only way. And how
yeah.
liberating as well, because again, I was exactly like you, had the worst inner critic, just so full of worry and anxiety, and so pessimistic, and just
Yep.
constantly beating myself up. And it's just constant, it's relentless, and it's so exhausting in it. And you just think, I just want to take my brain out of my head and just get a rest from it,
Mhm.
just the
Mhm.
incessant chatter and noise. So to move on to a state where you are feeling that confidence and that self-love, and you're not beating yourself up, you're no longer your own worst enemy. It's
Mhm.
so pivotal.
Yeah. But I was exhausted as well, like physically, because of what was going on with my mental health. So I found that I was like just tired all the time, and then I couldn't sleep at night. But now I'm sleeping, and I'm like, this is making such a difference to me as well. And like, I just sleep better. I could even go for a nap on the couch, which I would never do ever. But if I feel tired, I'm like, right, okay. But it's no this exhaustion. It was just like, it felt as if I was weighed down.
Hmm.
And when I was like purging, I could feel, the only way I can describe it was as if it was coming for the base of my spine, and all this stuff was coming up, and it was like all negative. And even the way she was breathing from it, and I'm still continuing to breathe this way, and it's just like making a sound. But when I'm doing that, I can feel me releasing this tension or stress or whatever's going on. I can feel that coming away from me. So it's as if she's been like, I need to show you this wee technique, and you can continue to use that because that's going to continue to work for you.
Yeah, giving you a tool that you can
Yeah.
implement your day-to-day life, isn't it? Because when you could feel all that trauma there coming up for you at the base of your spine, that's where we store it all in the
Mhm.
lower chakras there. So for you to get that release from it, but not only that, the tools to be able to manage that in your day-to-day life. Because
Yeah.
I had a really, really profound ceremony one time. I was doing a lot of the meditations for the monk. I can never say his name right, but he's the Plum Village. He's passed now. And I went into for the whole ceremony. It must have been about like 6 hours solid in this ceremony. I was in this Buddha breath. And it
Right.
was like you say, it's just breathing for you. It's just
Mhm.
profound amount of peace that you get from it.
Mhm. It's amazing. Like, I remember saying to you, I felt as if she was breathing for me. And I remember saying things thinking they're going to think I'm mad. But the team, it's not like that at all. You were just like, oh, I love when she does that. And it
Oh,
made me feel so, I was like, oh, great. Like, I'm actually no off my head. Because then I was saying, I was like, they're going to think I'm nuts when I say this. Because I remember I kept seeing people's faces changing. And I was seeing like it was like Native Americans and stuff like that, and I've seen loads of spirit animals, and I was just like, can I tell anybody I've seen that? I was seeing like UV colours and stuff, and I was like, is that mad? But you were like, oh, I love when that happens, so it made me feel good.
we've all
So,
been there.
I it's amazing. Oh, it just made me feel so much calmer though as well, because like you say, you don't know what you're getting into. It's after the first ceremony and stuff, and I was just like, what am I seeing here? And it was the sharing circle made me feel like, right, everybody's, if I'm off my head, everybody's off their head because
Yeah,
we're all having different similar experiences or different experiences, but they all sound a bit out there, so it's
we're
fine.
all mental here.
I've actually just bought a sign for my house that says we're all mad here, so that's been up on the wall because that's what it felt like. But during it, I was sitting going, "Who? I'm just sitting here, like taking whatever feels like DMT, acid, some sort of a hallucinogenic." With hippies, that's what I kept saying in my head, like that negative cynicism coming in again. And if I hadn't have seen the work, I don't think it's ever, if it hadn't have been for that second ceremony, Claire, I was just like, wow, like the best ever. But the work that's happened after it and how it's changing my everyday life, I still probably would have been like, did that happen there? Was that real? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the difference in me is night and day, absolutely night and day. I can't believe the change. It's amazing.
The thing, because she's in there, she's doing that deep work within the
Mhm.
ceremony, but it just keeps unfolding and keeps unfolding. Because, like you
Yeah.
say, if it didn't, it would be like, was that a dream or something? But
Mm.
it's the lasting effects, and that's the whole point of it. And
Mhm.
it's very rare for it to happen, but at times we will have people who are coming on retreat who are very, very blocked to
Mhm.
receiving the medicine, and they have these either very mild or it seems like a kind of non-experience. We get it when we're supporting them through the retreat because they can feel like so disappointed. It's like I
Mhm.
came here with all these hopes and dreams, and it feels like nothing's happening. And I'm sitting about and I'm listening to everybody with all their wild stories about getting brain surgery and all the rest of it. It's not happening for me. But,
Aye.
we're supporting them through it. We're like, just stick at it, keep going through the process. And
Mhm.
even then, we'll be like, afterwards, like, oh my God. Like, this has changed my life because it's in the integration. We go back to our lives.
Yeah.
This is when we see the medicine in
Yeah.
action. This is when we see the shifts and the changes, huh?
Oh, absolutely. And it's just like, I just felt that the team were so good as well. Like they're so professional. They're just there for you. And like, I was obviously you're nervous, you're scared. I went on my own, so I was there with other people who I didn't know. And I just felt as if there was just so much love for the team. They're just so good at make me feel welcome and just nothing's too much for them. Just really, really nice people. You've got such a good team around you, Claire. And I think I'd actually sent you big heartfelt messages because I was like, I'm feeling the love today and sending big messages about how great you all are. But it is. And then integration after that, I've obviously not been on a couple of the calls, but I'm going to get to the meetups and stuff. And I just feel as if they're really important. I'm so glad I went to the one meetup before I went in the retreat. But I think it's important to get in as much as you can because you get so much out of that. And I think it's just better meeting people face to face and having conversations and maybe asking the questions that you you feel comfortable to ask. Plus the food's quite good as well.
Ah,
Um,
thanks, Eve.
and then obviously on retreat, everybody's just amazing. They've all got a role, and everybody's really good at that. And just managing us, do you know what I mean? Like there's 20 odd people there, and it must be tough. Do you know what I mean to do that? But it's
We
just
love
so
it.
well done. Aye, yeah, I know, and you can tell you love it. That's the thing. And I think if you do a job you love, it's like you've got a passion for it. You can tell. So, but I just had such a good experience. I can't like even the place we stayed was beautiful as well. I really enjoyed it, and just being able to kind of walk around the grounds and stuff, and just get into nature as well, because that is something I've also found been really good for me. I've had to kind of shut myself away, so I've been busy dealing with other things. So when I do get out in nature, I'm just like, oh, I need this. And it's as if it's recharging my battery again. It's as if I'm plugging into something, I'm getting that download, and then I'm away again, back out into the world, feeling good. So
Definitely. It's so
aye.
important though, isn't it? Just to be putting ourselves out there in nature. I mean, I'm lucky I've got the dog, so I'm always out in
Mhm.
nature, up the countryside or down the beach. But it's beautiful just to ground yourself and just soak up that energy, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And I just feel as if like the team are so good at just telling you what to do, because yous know what yous are doing. Do you know what I mean? Yous are the professionals. And that's one thing I kept saying. I couldn't go over the professionalism, because I was going, this is a load of nonsense. And do you know what I mean? Or and I could feel myself doing that. And I would maybe have a chat to yourself or Eve or whatever. And really approachable people. Do you know what I mean? Just being able to have a chat. And it's just like, listen to you guys, because that was something that was dead important for me, because I was like, don't really want to do the second ceremony because I've got a heart condition and all that nonsense. And you were like, no, well, listen to us and what we're doing. And I was like, right, okay. And just guiding us. It's no, I'm saying that as if you're like, listen to us. It's no, you're guiding us. You can't tell us what to do, but going to listen to what we are saying, because we know what we're talking about, and you do. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So,
It is so, so important. And that's the thing, because we walk so many of you through this
yes.
process. Like, and we get it, we understand it, we see it for your points of view. We understand what this process is. But like you say, when we're saying he's on retreat, do this, do that, or whatever,
Mhm.
definitely in your best
Aye.
interest to listen and just
Aye.
do it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just, like I say, it was just good. I felt, I thought, because I obviously have to diet before you go and stuff like that. So I'd done all that and felt as if I was really like super prepared in something. Nothing can prepare you what you're getting in for, but I just felt like that was quite an important part of it as well, to stick to the diet, because I just felt as if it was, like, I thought I was quite sensitive to like hallucinogenics and stuff like that, just the stuff that I've done previously. But um like I said, I had all these expectations. I was expecting to go in for. I didn't get any of that. She doesn't have to work as hard as, well. This is what you kind of how you'd explained it, and what my sort of a take on it was, is if you do your diet, she doesn't have to work as hard to filter out all the toxins and stuff like that. And I felt as if I get really, really good experiences, albeit the first night I was a bit scared and stuff, but I wasn't overwhelmed. I wasn't terrified or anything. It was just like going through the motions, and I felt a bit uncomfortable. And then had the most beautiful experience in the second night that I wish I'd just, I was so glad I got that. If I'd went for 3 days and only got that, I still would have been happy anyway, because it was just so profound.
1,000,000%. And like you're saying there with the diet, because that is the point. It's the preparation, it's the cleansing of the vessel so she can get straight to work,
Mhm.
essentially. And it's shown a lot of respect for the process that's about to come. But we do get a load of people that come on retreat. The Glasgow boys, yous are the worst. And they will be, I'm no joking, the night
Aye.
before, they don't listen to a word we say with this, but
Mhm.
they'll be eating kebabs and pizza the night before and all this type of jazz. They're still coming into the ceremony. Do you know, it's not harmful in any way per se. You know, they're still getting the deep healing and the profound connection and everything. But what you'll find with them is the purge is a lot more brutal for them, because she's like, "Ah, I need to clear up all this shit before we're getting to all the difficult work here."
Yeah, definitely. And I was quite terrified about the purging, but weirdly, I actually got quite, I don't know if it was just because I was getting rid of a lot of negative stuff, but I felt like okay about that. I wasn't scared about being sick. I was okay with that, but it was like I felt like I can't wait to be sick to get this up,
Yeah.
because the kind of new stuff was sitting there that I had to release, and it was just all this negative, horrible stuff that I've been carrying around for so long. Stuff that I never even thought I was carrying around, like guilt for like pals of mine that have died. I must have been sitting with that, and it's never ever been a thing that I've thought about. but that came up, and I was like, wow, I've never thought about that before.
Yeah.
So it was good to just release all that. And honestly, I feel as if I'm like 10 stone lighter. I'm just like, whoa, this is great. And then I could bust a move, and oh, it's just the best experience, honestly. I keep trying to tell people, and they're just like, right, okay. Is that like, I just keep saying, aye. You know what it's like when you're talking to people about their experiences and stuff. So,
They don't get it. A lot of people, do you know, they're not ready for it. And we can see like a few people can get sent a bit off kilter afterwards. I've got a few of them, do you know, DMing me just now because they're telling people about it, but people are being either dismissive about it or they're like, this a mad cult thing, some mad hippie thing that you're doing. You know,
yeah,
people don't have that understanding
same.
at times.
I know, definitely. I'm just glad I went when I went. I think I was definitely meant to go at that time. And the my story to actually how I got there was quite like I'd been in a baby group and I'd spoken to somebody. I had my wee boy baby group. I'd spoken to a girl and I'd said, "Oh, I'd love to do ayahuasca, but I can't because I've got a heart condition." And she was like, "Well, I done it," and she told my experience because she'd something similar to mine. And then another girl who was sitting in the same room had done it as well, but they didn't know each other and they didn't know they'd done it. So I was like, oh, it's a sign, it's a sign. And then I was like, but I started getting the bit of the sort of that negativity again. And I was just climbing up Chronic Hill. And I remember looking, saying, if I'm doing the right thing with this, show me a sign. And a robin landed. And I was just myself. And I kept going, but looking to tell something. I said, did anybody else see that? But it's just like, I just knew I was meant to go. I just knew in my heart that it was for me. And what kept happening with me was I wasn't connecting, and I think it was yourself or Eve that had spoken to me about, no, the fact it might have been Emma actually, connecting my head to my heart. I've always kept them really separate and but always thought they were connected until I get rid of this sort of the pain that I had there seemed to be something that was blocking that connection. And when I get rid of that, the connection's back again. And it's just about being a wee bit kinder to yourself and things like that. And think with your heart, your head, but also use your heart at the same time and stop just, it's just made me learn up quite a lot just about relationships and how I'm dealing with things. So just amazing stuff. Can't believe
How
it.
beautiful. And before we're wrapping up, is there anything else you want to share?
Oh, I don't know. I just can't believe like, if you get a call in to go, like go. I've put so many people in line with you guys because obviously I had such a good experience. There's other places you can go, but I felt as if I was meant to come with you guys. And like I say, your team's so professional. The food's not bad as well. And just the people I was there with we were such a lovely group. I've actually
Yeah,
still kept in contact with a lot of people and a couple of the boys that we were going to talk about meeting up tonight. So just
brilliant.
nice people who still text and stuff like that. So it's go for it. It seems really scary to go yourself, but I think I had to go myself, and I think you get a lot out of it going yourself because it's giving you that bit of independence and stuff like that. If you were anything like me and you had this chronic anxiety that you've lived with and taking panic attacks and stuff like that, and you want rid of it, then hit you guys up because it's changed my life. Amazing.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us today,
Thank
Lauren.
you.